Vice President Dr Joyce Mujuru has offered an olive branch to her former boss, President Robert Mugabe. She says in the interests of progress and peace in Zimbabwe, she is prepared to forgive President Mugabe. In an exclusive interview with SABC, Dr Mujuru says Zimbabwe needs an inclusive government to rebuild itself. The country will hold general elections in 2018. Here she starts off by responding to a question on why she had not tried to use her influence as vice president to steer Zimbabwe in the right direction.
I wish it was that simple. I wish it was that simple. You know, there are two sides to a coin all the time. I'm from the fighting forces, where you go through training. I also have a background, and at the same time you are, mind you, I'm a youth, and a youth looks up to your seniors. Even in the home, you look up to parents. Yes, people might say, why did you keep quiet? That's my other side. And I'm saying, you also have to appreciate characters of seniors. Are they characters that would want to be advised by a youth? And why would they not want youths to be advising them? And here you are talking of Teurai Ropa, who was only 25. Maybe Teurai Ropa, who was under 30. What would you want Teurai Ropa to really come up and be like a Che Guevara? And because I'm coming from the fighting forces, it wouldn't be like that. The last word remains with the executive person, the one with powers to do that. Yes, it doesn't mean issues of land were not discussed. It doesn't mean issues that made Zimbabwe become isolated were not being discussed. But the last word remains with the executive.
Later on, you became the most powerful leader, a woman leader in the SADC region as a vice president, because we have very few vice presidents in the region, but also on the continent in general and around the globe. It's a problem, women leadership. Why you didn't take the opportunity then, when you were the vice president, to assist, to undo what was wrong? As freedom fighters, you remain with certain practices that will make you maybe somebody who is not ready to challenge your seniors. But let me say, in a way, as an African girl, you tend to do certain practices that will then put you in a very difficult position. You don't want to appear as if you are fighting your seniors. But why don't you take those lines that will show that you are somebody who is for the people? So when I was vice president, responsible for social ministries, I had to do things that would show that I am for the people. And I would want to show my other, maybe that's why people say Joyce is a softer person, because the lines that I took then made me to behave and work as somebody who didn't want to cause any disturbances or misunderstandings. But all the same, they caused misunderstandings. For instance, the programs that I was doing with the majority of the people, using my social ministries that I was leading. But all the same, people would say, But when our houses were destroyed, when we were beaten and killed, when these things, yes, but I would also want to say, history shapes the future. And also history gives an individual experience. These things happened whilst Joyce was part of the group, but I didn't want them to be so. Here and there, yes, they would say sparingly, but mind you, I've told you my background, I've told you my trying to not to ruffle feathers with the executive. I tried to ask in public why certain things were being done for the people, why people were being beaten, what people should be doing in order to improve their lives, so that we don't concentrate on things that will continue to eat in the pocket of the government, but that people must be given freedom to really work and participate in the development or growing the economy. So the masses of Zimbabwe saw that, because coming from the Ministry of Water, where I knew most of the things that people should do have to have agriculture as its backbone, as it is understood. So if you read my history, if you go in the countryside, they are, landmarks where the majority of Zimbabwe were involved in agricultural production. If government was ready to assist those, would be talking of something else. Yes, I'm talking of Tonga Diolet, where young farmers, in order to answer the land issue so that it's not seen as a negative thing all the time, we have young commercial sugarcane commercial farmers, which I assisted.
Your critics are saying it was because of a fight for resources. It was about corruption. It was about ambition for power. How would you respond to those critics?
If you have money, you need not ask for it. Money speaks. If people say Joyce was fighting for money, I would rather say, after having turned my life inside out investigating, they would have seen those fat bank accounts. They would have seen my lifestyle changing. If it's to do with power, I would have done it a long time ago. Because in 2004, when I was elected Vice President of ZANU-PF, it was 8 provinces out of 10 that voted Joyce Mujuru to be the Vice President of ZANU-PF. And during that Congress, and nobody solicited it from him, President Mugabe, to say that. He actually asked the congregation, now that you have this young woman as one of the vice presidents, do you want it to just end here? That's a historical question. Whatever had excited him, I don't know. And the congregation answered, no, we want him to carry on. So if I had a big head, if power had come to my head, I would have started doing things that would have shown that my Mujuru is now for power. But I remained. I did my job diligently without even causing any problems. The second time, the same thing happened. I won again. 2 against 8, which I had. That time, this is now trying to read back what could have caused him to behave the way he did. We had just had our elections in 2013. Elections of 2013, if you want to compare them with some elections which we held before, you can actually see the difference. No violence, not much controversy, because I was the leading person. We were given 3 weeks with which to campaign. I did 43 rallies on the terrible roads of Zimbabwe. He did 12 rallies using helicopters. Kaya Moyo, who was the chairman and second to me in terms of leadership, because one of the vice presidents had passed on, did 22 just in one province. I would have been going around maybe saying things that would have incensed him. But I'm sure ZANU-PF people read in between lines that they wanted also to choose the leadership of their choice. So the provinces, immediately after elections, went to have their provincial elections, party provincial elections, and they choose leaders of their choice without my involvement or soliciting power from them. Then soon after that, we had the youth conference or congress, where the youths had agreed that our leadership should be like this, except for 2 positions: the chairman of the youth and the administrator. Though they had agreed that the administrator would be a lady from Harare province, but because they had already started their problem, which we didn't know about, they said those 2 positions have to be elected by the full Congress, not the way how you had decided to make up agreements and share, those posts according to provinces. So when elections were held, still their will prevailed. It did not go down well with Mugabe and his wife. This I'm reading afterwards. He then had to force the youths to come to him. He chose 7. I don't know why 7, because it's now coming out of what is happening in ZANU-PF, which has led now to the youth to say we can't be used anymore. You used us on Mujuru, you can't use us on Emerson Mnangagwa. The youths were now told, because what he expected did not come out. He thought, this way, Mujuru must have a hand, or some people, which was not true. Now it's proving to him that it wasn't true. That's what the people wanted. He told them, I can't control my Mujuru. Help me. These are the youths now talking. So the youths were told, my Mujuru is a witch, my Mujuru is a thief, my Mujuru is inept, my Mujuru is of loose morals, my Mujuru is that. I'm a widow. I have no boyfriend. I don't know where they got that from. So I think he was now looking for things that would match who I am in terms of not having a husband. He thinks, I'm sure the only business that a woman can do is not to stay alone, but must have a man. No, others exist individually. They don't need men. If you are somebody with a character such as mine, why would you need a husband for a man for? If you had one, it's enough. You wouldn't be going around as a leader, showing people things that are unbecoming. So these youths believed him.
and they did what they did. But I said to myself, the truth shall come out. Again, that character which led me right through the years not to antagonize, not to ruffle feathers with the seniors, especially Mugabe himself, whom I respect as a father to me, as a father figure to the nation, and knowing exactly that he was lying, I kept quiet.
Just a reminder, we will broadcast a longer interview with the former Zimbabwe Vice President Joyce Mujuru at 11:15.